Hi, everyone. Welcome to Network Capital. Today, I'm really excited to welcome Pritika Mehta, the co-founder of SockSoho, which is a Y Combinator company. Pritika has had a really interesting career. So as you listen to this conversation or watch it, I would love for you to focus on the various principles that Pritika thought about, some of her doubts and dilemmas that emerged at different points in time, and then trace it to SockSoho. And something that we often say on Network Capital is that passion is often discovered by repeated experiments, low-risk experiments, and today's conversation is going to tell you how. So let's get started. Pritika, welcome to Network Capital. Tell us a bit about who you are and what do you do today?
Sure. Thank you, Utkarsh, for having me. Very excited to be on the podcast. So, hi guys, I'm Pritika. I am the CEO and co-founder of SockSoho.com. We are India's fastest growing fashion brand for men. Currently, we make designer socks for men. And we launched last year, and now we have more than 50,000 customers across the globe. And, in fact, some of the biggest Bollywood and Hollywood celebrities, top CEOs of the world, they wear our socks. So my background is quite different from what I'm doing currently. I'm a data scientist, and since I was 14 years old, I started coding, and I was very passionate about coding and mathematics because I just loved solving problems, and I just loved the euphoria that came with building things. So very early, I decided that I wanted to do something that could go into millions of homes. I would create something. So this is the little Pritika, when she was 14, 15 years old, wild dreams. So this is what I am. And then I pursued my career in computer science. But in the back of my mind, I've always had this, that I want to build something. I want to create something. And that led to us building SockSoho.com.
Awesome. Let's dive deeper. So you went abroad, got your master's, and then you took the corporate route. So tell us about why master's, and while you were pursuing your master's, what were some of the career aspirations you had at that time?
So I'll tell you a little, when I actually decided to pursue master's. So while I was doing my undergrad in India, I was actually I was very much interested in computer science, but I was not sure what to do next. Like, okay, you can go for a job. I took up a job in a startup. I was enjoying it, but then as everybody else, I also took CAT and other MBA exams. But as I was working in that startup, I really liked, the feeling that came with building things. And I somehow felt that maybe MBA at this point of time is not something I wanted to do. I started exploring machine learning, natural language processing myself, and I just loved it. I used to go to my work, come back home, take Andrew Ng's, who's the master's in artificial intelligence and machine learning. I used to take his courses online, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I was always so interested in mathematics. So I think that is when I decided that I want to do something more in computer science. And I want to take, I want to study more. I want to explore more because I wanted to see the world. I wanted to learn from the best. And I knew, I did something in undergrad, but there's a lot more in the world that I could learn. So that is where I decided that let me go and learn from the best people in the world. And that's how I decided to pursue my master's. And I got selected in SUNY, the State University of New York. And I did my master's in artificial intelligence under Sargo Shriyari, who's a distinguished professor in artificial intelligence. So that was my journey.
That must have been fascinating. Yeah. And while you were pursuing your master's under distinguished professors, did you get what you went for? And how did you trace your next steps immediately after master's?
So yes, I got what I wanted. I learned a lot. I think I learned a lot more than, computer science. So yes, during my master's, I also got internship in Bank of America. That was in Manhattan. And that, again, I got into the core data science team, and I really, really enjoyed it. After I completed my master's, I got a job with Tripadvisor in Boston. Again, that was an amazing company to work with. And yes, I think what I wanted, I got. in terms of my career as a data scientist or a computer engineer there.
So what does a data scientist do at a company like, say, Tripadvisor or Bank of America? And how much did your masters prepare you for that?
So, okay. So, see, when it comes to how, different companies are using data and doing analytics or machine learning over the data, it's different. So you cannot say whatever I learned over masters, everything I went and applied. No, you need to learn new things. And but I would say how companies use data is different. Their needs are different. And the role of a data scientist is basically to actually see what sort of models that, firstly, what sort of data can be collected by that company, how that can be used. Building models, is not that tough, but finding the right data, getting into it into the right form is what is difficult. So you cannot just frame it, okay, this is what you do when you're a data scientist. It spans across, it's a very huge domain in itself.
So what were some of the key takeaways of your work experience in the US, internship, or your job after? And why did you decide to leave?
Okay. So key takeaways were people were really professional when it came to work. So I worked in India as well as the US. I saw there's the mindset is different when it comes to work. If somebody's coming to work, from 9 to 5, they're just working. I didn't see my colleagues on phones or doing anything else. So I learned professionalism from there. Then secondly, I saw, when you're working in India or in your own city, I see I used to think, okay, I'll build something, for North India or for India. But when you are in US, you're not building for the US. You're building something. Wherever you will talk, they're building things for the world. So that kind of aspiration is what I learned from there, which was not there in India at that point of time. And then why I decided to leave my master's, well, my parents called my parents called me crazy for taking that decision. But honestly speaking, in my heart, I always knew that my brain is not wired to do a job. I wanted to try different things, and I love the fast pace in life. I work really fast. People ask me why. It's maybe because in my mind I want to reach my destination really fast, and in my career also, my mind, my thought process is a little like that I can work day and night for next 5 years and achieve what I want rather than working for 30 years. And somehow the job was not satisfying that appetite. And in my mind, in the back of my mind, I always had that, okay, I'll work for 2 years or 3 years, gain experience, and then start something of my own. But when I started the job, somehow it was like, how does it matter? Because when I'm going to leave the job, okay, I'm going to be learning some things here at the job, but they're not really going to be helpful when I'm going to starting something of my own. And in fact, while I was pursuing my master's, while I was doing the job, I was helping some of my friends in India while they were building their startups. So I saw the kind of mindset they had and, the kind of environment they had. And I think that really fascinated me, and that is the route I wanted to take in my life as well. And I really wanted to move really, really fast in my life. And I thought, if I'm not doing it now, maybe I won't get this chance again. I'm really young. I can take risks. What happened? What happens if it doesn't go according to my plan? It doesn't matter. I'm young enough. I am educated. I'll come back and again get a job. But let me try. Chance of trying won't come again in my life. And that was my thought process of coming back.
And your parents might have been skeptical of it. How was the conversation with mom and dad?
So actually, my parents are very liberal. When they do not push me to pursue anything out of my own choice. So I think since childhood, they have given me the liberty to make my own decisions. Even, whether if I want to change my school, they have given me, whether you want to do this or not, it's always up to me. So honestly, I did not ask them whether I should move back or not. I just told them, hey, I'm coming back. So in December, I told them I am coming back in January. I've decided. And, they said, okay, what if, You look for a different job, maybe you like it. I said, no, I've considered all the options in my head and I know nothing else is going to work out. I've made up my mind. I'll figure out things. You have to trust me. I'm coming back. So
which year was this?
So this was, I came back in 2017. Yeah.
2017, right? So it's about 3 years, and you came back with an ambition to start something because that's what you found your true home in, true north in. And tell us about the first 100 days of coming back to India, and what were the kind of micro experiments you were conducting? Who were you speaking to? What was on your mind?
Okay, so yeah, I think we conducted a lot of different experiments, and I traveled a lot. So when I came back, Simotri Singh, who's my co-founder in SockSoho, so we are friends since undergrad, and he started his content company back then, and when I came back, so we were very close friends. So he was building mine batteries. I just plugged myself in mine batteries, and we were trying various experiments. I was also trying to figure out, okay, what is that next big thing I want to do for the next 10 years of my life? And the first 100 days, they were honestly not that easy because I was sure I'm not going to go back to doing a job because maybe my mind is not wired that way. First 100 days, they were tough. Some days were really tough. Even in my mind, I had this doubt, oh, did I make the right decision? Shall I go back?
Yeah.
What will I do? But then the other thought, okay, even if I go back, will I be happy? Is what, kept me, okay, no, I am going to be happier here. And the past life is not going to make me happy context. So let's try my best. So first 100 days, honestly, they went like this now when I think of them. So we were trying. I was always curious to know new things. I was always up trying new things. I was traveling a lot. So I was just trying out things, honestly. I didn't have a clear plan when I moved back.
Yeah. In between, amidst all of this, there was a TEDx. Prepare for it.
Thank you. I've heard your talk as well. That is amazing as well. Yeah. So I think opportunities, there's no fixed plan of opportunities. When will they land you? They will just land you, when you least expect them. So the stories, I was running for a meeting, which I got late because of some time difference in my Google Calendar. And I missed my bus. So this was during a TED conference only. So I missed my bus. So I got in some random bus and there were a lot of TED attendees who were TED organizers there. And I got on the bus and I sat next to Ajit George Matthew, who was the curator of TEDx Wilmington. And we started talking. He's like, so tell me something about yourself. I'm like, education, this and that. I was telling him a lot, what I think about how things are moving so fast, technology, how we are still so behind and everything. He's like, so it was, I think, a 10-minute ride. And at the end, we were just chatting. And he's like, hey, take my card. So why don't you apply for this, TEDx Wilmington and give a talk there? So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do that. I didn't take it seriously, to be honest. Then he wrote me an email, and that's when I applied and got through, and that's how I was chosen to give that TEDx talk. So that was again, unexpected.
In our network capital, we often talk about luck surface area, which is a composition of do great things, tell lots of people. And sometimes, there's serendipity happens, but you have to be prepared. So you were ready, and that talk happened, and it, I'm sure, inspired lots and lots of people around the world. So congratulations for that. So 100 days are over now. The TEDx is behind you. You have an impressive resume, one bunch of work experiences. How do you take your first steps towards building your own venture? What was on your mind?
Okay, so I'll tell you how socks clicked me. While I was working at Wall Street, at Bank of America, I used to. I'm an observant person. I observe a lot. So I used to observe like how many would dress up in their dapper suits, which you would not see anywhere else in the world, and they'll be like black, blue, gray suits. very professional looking, even at 6 a.m. in the morning. But what I noticed was they were wearing these designer socks. And a lot of people in my own office at Bank of America, they used to come and flaunt these socks. And that is where I actually started following this trend. And then time passed by. I used to just bring, nice socks for my friends and my cousins. And they used to always ask me, hey, get us more socks. Don't bring us chocolates. Just get us these nice designer socks. So it was, I just used to do it for my friends and cousins. Never thought of it as something really serious. But then I used to read a lot, and I used to see how e-commerce, direct to consumer, this trend is growing really fast. Even my parents, whom I thought would be the last people to adopt technology, they were so fast. My mother would order from Amazon. She would take Uber. She would do anything and everything that even I was not doing. So I thought if things are going really fast, why not exactly explore this segment? I was reading a lot about how direct-to-consumer brands, they exploded in the US, and I was seeing the same trend happening in India. And what I observed was, we as women, we have a lot of options. When it comes to fashion, we are full of options to stand out, be it jewelry, be it makeup, be it even, the kind of dresses we wear. But when it comes to the men's segment, the number of men shopping online is growing drastically. But when it comes to men fashion, they still have very limited options. But I see that 21st century men, they're not black, blue, gray. They're full of their personality. I've seen you have amazing dresses. You make statements with your tie or with your socks and different things. And that is where I, saw the opportunity that they want to look good. They want to feel appreciated. They want to make a style statement, but brands are not catering to that need. So there's a gap in the men fashion segment. And that is where I can come in picture and cater to that huge segment. And socks is one category which had seen no innovation in decades in India. And I thought, why not just get onto this and, build the biggest fashion brand for men here.
So this was about 2018. Are we talking about 2017 or 2018?
I traveled a lot. So I was observing this, 2018 and starting of 2019. So thoughts were going in. I was just trying to understand more and more of the market, how consumer behavior is changing. So I would say yes, 2018.
Okay, wonderful. And when you started, diving deep, like the market opportunity is huge. The segment is growing. It's a blue ocean. There aren't too many players trying to do this, at least in India. What were the first steps that you took to translate that idea or a concept into, say, a minimum viable product?
So, whenever you're launching something, everybody wants to make a great product. But when it comes to startups, I think great is the enemy of good. Because people spend years crafting their perfect product, but when they launch, it sometimes fails because the consumer doesn't want that. So this is where, we really followed Paul Graham, his principles of actually building something that people want. And how would you know what people want? Is to build the basic product, just launch it into the market, talk to your consumers, take the feedback and iterate. This is what we did. So we thought, okay, we are making socks. We are going to make the most comfortable socks in the world. But whom should we cater to? Because already, men are wearing socks every day. But why would they come and wear our socks? So we thought, okay, let's make socks for techies like us. So Simara and I, we both are from computer science background. So we thought, okay, let's make socks for techies like us. Now we thought, okay, what exactly do we like? So we thought, okay, we like Steve Jobs. We all are fans of Steve Jobs. We love Silicon Valley. A lot of us believe in cryptocurrency. So, we had around 25 things we could build for techies like coding, coffee, and whatnot. So we came up with these 3 things that, okay, let's bring, this is like the Steve Jobs socks we made. Silicon Valley, he's the king of Silicon Valley, ruling Silicon Valley with Apple, with the colors of the first Apple logo. Then we built something on cryptocurrency. This is with all the different cryptos in the market. Then we also built something on Silicon Valley. So if you'll see, this is the Golden Gate Bridge and how we associate with Silicon Valley. We visit Golden Gate Bridge all the time. Then there's a lot of money. There's a lot of coding. There's a lot of coffee. Then there's Y Combinator as well there, and all these four counties, San Francisco, Palo Alto. So honestly, the first designs were what we thought we would buy when we'll see it in the market. And so we built these three designs only for techies and startups, startup founders, and we launched them. And then, we targeted them as well. We went and we went on those Facebook groups of these techies and founders, and we used to post, hey, why don't you buy these socks and that? And we saw great traction. In the first week, we saw huge traction. And that's how we thought, okay, there is a need, let's build it. But, how we evolved is what our consumers told us to do. A lot of people, we were very close to our customers. Even today, you can reach us over WhatsApp, over phone, email, and we would get back to you the same moment. So people used to come and tell us, hey, do you have stripes? Hey, do you have subtle designs? Hey, do you have this and that? And that is how we evolved, because we were constantly talking to our customers, listening to them, listening to their requirements. And they only came and told us, what more they want to see. And that's how now we are making stripes, we are making subtle designs. So I think this is the journey that the principles are the same. The Paul Graham principles. Build something that you can launch really fast, then get it into the market and talk to your customers and iterate. Be it a SaaS company, be it a consumer company. The principles remain the same, and we follow the same principles to build SockSoho. And this is how we launched, and this is how we are growing.
What I've observed also is that you've built and you've created great demand for this also in subtle ways, in not so subtle ways, through direct marketing, through indirect marketing. So there's a lot of art as well as science in it. Now you've talked to us a bit about the science, which we'll dive deep into, the customer segmentation, the analysis, preferences, feedback, all of that. Tell us about the artistic ways, because what I've seen is that people in conferences, they are flaunting SockSoho. I will, next time I'm at a conference, I will flaunt SockSoho and all of that. So there is this really beautiful pull that you've created. Tell us about how can young people trying to be in this space learn from your experience?
Okay, so I don't know. See, beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. So I don't know what people consider artistic or not. But for me, I think nobody thought that socks could be so exciting. So I think that is one way, we look at our socks. When it comes to art, we just think, who's our end consumer? Because for whom are we building actually this product? And we just see what really they like to wear. So art really comes, I think, by observing things. So I'm the one who leads designs at SockSoho. So I just observe things. I just see, what are the colors in fashion, what things people are really talking about, what are they passionate about. So it's very hard to actually define art in a box, to be honest. So
yeah, it is.
I don't know.
But let's
Yeah.
Let's try and explore. I'll tell you some things that I remembered from your pre-launch campaign, or when you were. I saw that some really interesting people, like young people doing interesting things, you would give it to them, or they will wear it, and then they will tell their friends. So plus there is this design that you've built. There's a great sensibility, artistic sensibility in the product. So virality is inbuilt. Plus you've targeted different kinds of people, and then they become your biggest brand champion. That was something that I really appreciated in your pre-launch days. Now, obviously, you're scaling very fast. But at that time, that is still one of the fondest memories of SockSoho. I think it was called something else at that time. But that's the fondest memory that I have of it. So what I want to know now is that how do you actually translate the design in your head into a sock? Like, I don't know how a sock is manufactured or built or printed. how did you figure all of that? I'm sure you're not trained in socks. So tell us about the process of learning this process.
Yeah, so I'll agree to that we saw a huge organic growth because people were really excited and they really wanted to flaunt. Like I said, women have so many options, but men, they used to flaunt our socks. They used to tag us and tell friends. So yes, we saw a lot of organic growth. But when it comes to designs, so I told you, how we built the Silicon Valley. Simar and I just sat down and we jotted down the top 15 things we associate with Silicon Valley. We have been there. What do we think? How do we feel about that place? And the initial concept was built by us, and then the design part, the color of this and everything, how exactly it is to be designed, it was done by the designer. So I think the initial concept is built by us, Simar and I. We work on designs and we think really what like this. We wanted to do something for Christmas. So this is this happy design. So we really didn't want to make something very, obvious. This is this happy reindeer sock for Christmas, which is very popular these days.
It's Christmas time as well. By the time this masterclass is live, people will hopefully order a lot more of these socks.
Yeah, we are almost sold out with these because in December we saw a huge demand of this. So we just don't want to make things which are very obvious. We want people to associate, the emotion when they wear our socks. It should not be something, okay, just make something and maybe they like it or not. And then also it's a lot about colors. So it's a lot about theme. It's a lot about colors. It's a lot of being subtle.
Right.
Yeah, like this one. It's about being, people who love luxury, but they don't want to really flaunt a lot of colors. So we make socks for almost every kind of man out there in the market. People who love luxury, people who love fun, people who love to have, they want to associate like Steve Jobs or Silicon Valley. And then our socks are very popular amongst the gifting segment as well. People love to gift our socks to other men. And I think that's how the art has come.
Or girlfriends or friends or mothers to
they all buy from us.
People.
They shared feedback on how their husband loved it, or their boyfriend or their brother, they loved it, and it is such an unexpected gift in the Indian segment as of now. So
there's an element of delight which you have managed to capture, and by the end of the podcast, I want people would be able to at least learn some principles of it. So tell us about the manufacturing. So what I was interested in our viewers and listeners to also understand, once they get an idea and they capture a sense that, hey, this is a blue ocean, how do you actually create it? Like, how did you find a sock manufacturer? I think you optimize for comfort as well. Like there's a lot of mention of the word comfort on your website. So how did that idea become a sock in Chandigarh, I think? Yeah.
So see, for us, it was not only making the most beautiful looking socks, it was also about the comfort. So personally, I cannot wear socks that dig into my skin or they are too tight. So when we build our socks, designs, were the latter part. The first thing we did was, okay, how do we build the most comfortable socks that are suitable for Indian men and the Indian weather? So be it the length, be it the elastic. So this elastic, our customers often tell us that they wear our socks for 18 hours a day at a stretch, but our socks don't leave a mark on their leg.
Wow.
So this is one. We have done a lot of R&D behind building our socks. And some of, the elastic is there, the length is there, the kind of yarn which is used there. So before getting into the designs, I personally learned how socks are made and so we ordered around 500 socks from different brands across the world before starting this. We found out what is the best thing somebody is doing in the world when it comes to socks, and what are the things that we should avoid doing, because we personally don't feel like wearing such, tight socks or itchy socks like these. So I think we did a lot of analysis, what we want in our socks and what we don't want. And then I personally learned how socks are made. I think I spoke to around
You learned
150.
it by Googling, YouTubing, all of that?
Google has zero information. Building the most comfortable socks is not an easy task. Making socks is not an easy task. So I think we spoke to around 150 different manufacturers across the world. And sometimes I used to go and sit in their factories, and they used to just think, why is this lady so obsessed with socks? Even they were not. Yeah. I learned a lot from them, and not from one particular person, from different people. I learned a lot. And we used to think of it as a lab. Like, how do we make the best out of what we have got, and how do we pursue people to actually give us chance to experiment, because setting up the entire manufacturing and everything is quite hard. So it was, I learned these things. And it was not Google was not really helpful to me. I think talking to people, talking to various manufacturers across the world is what helped me. I used to sit in their factories, and I remember there was a time when I sat in a factory for 48 hours and at a stretch, and I used to just be like, okay, tell me, how is this done? Tell me this and that. And they were troubled, trust me.
Wow.
But then,
fascinating.
Yeah. So I remember they could not really understand our obsession. Ki, bhaiya, isko aise hi karna hai. And they were like, it doesn't matter. They were like, no, it matters to us. You have to do it this way. So we were really obsessed with the comfort part. And I think that is what led us to actually learn every, bit of it. Now I can say, I know maybe I am in the top 20 people who know how to make the best socks in the world, because I know a lot of manufacturers. They even don't know a lot about the nitty-gritty details of sock making. So it's all self-learned, and it's all the passion that led to this learning.
Yeah, passion coupled with very deliberate practice, which you did. So finally, now you've identified your manufacturer. Is it in India? And like that person now understands your diligence towards the socks and all of that. That part is sorted now?
So there's no one person or a factory. So we have tied up with various manufacturers, some from India and some from abroad as well. So we have a particular process, and it is very hard for us to shortlist people we want to work with, because I have seen they are not perfectionists, and it takes time. But yes, now our supply chain is set. It was hard initially, but now we are good to. Now we can cater to the world with pride.
How did you sell your first 1,000 socks? What was the sales channel?
First 1,000 socks, as I told you, we were initially we built for the startup founders. So I used to personally email all these big tech companies and ask them, hey, the CEOs, I would email them and ask them, hey, would you like to buy swag for your team? Then there was a lot of organic growth, because if a lot of people used to say, hey, my friend is a Steve Jobs fan, I would buy a gift for him. Then we did a lot of, we used a lot of Facebook, the groups on Facebook. So we used to advertise, hey, we have built this thing for startup founders, for techies, why don't you check it out? So I think the first 1,000 consumers came via those channels. So as Paul Graham says, do things that do not scale. We did the same with our initial product.
Yeah. And in the Facebook suite, I believe that you also leverage some of the mobile applications as well, right? So how did you build that channel where people were essentially buying from the mobile communication channels, if at all?
Yeah. So yes, we saw how WhatsApp is growing at such a fast pace in India, and e-commerce is happening over there. So we saw, on the face of it, we look as a fashion brand, but at the back end, we are a tech brand. Everything that happens here, we try to get technology into it. So a lot of our e-commerce happens over WhatsApp, and a lot of it is automated. In-house, we are building a lot of tools to automate it a lot more. On phone, yes, people can come and just place their order over WhatsApp, and we cater to them at any time of the day or night. So yeah, a lot of it is automated and done with WhatsApp.
Okay. So you were obviously, like you were off to a good start. There was virality inbuilt into the product. You were making things that people wanted. I would imagine it would have been profitable, significantly profitable to make. I mean, that's my guess. Um, when did you start thinking about external means of funding, and how did Y Combinator enter the fray?
Okay, so we were not really looking to raise funds since uh, we were profitable. But when it comes to YC, we were Simar and I, we both were obsessed with YC in a way that we learned a lot from the YC community, from our peers who were into YC, from Paul Graham, from companies that came out of YC like Airbnb, Dropbox, their journeys. So I think that is what really motivated us to apply for YC and to get into that community. And yeah, that is, and the way we built our brand, our company was on the same principles as any other YC company would have done in the past. So yeah, we got into YC, and I think the journey itself was.
But yeah, you say it very nonchalantly because getting into YC is very competitive. So how did you think of the entire? So I'm totally understanding of the fact that even if you're not looking to raise money, a YC community really adds a lot of credibility to your experience fully. But getting into YC is pretty challenging. So tell us about how you made sure that both your and your co-founders' passion for YC translated into a successful outcome from YC.
See, when it comes to YC, they are also looking for something that could become next $1 billion idea, and I think the way we saw SockSoho was quite similar. We knew the path we wanted to take. We were, yeah, some companies that get into YC are very early stage, but for us, I think since we were building something that people want, it was growing organically. We were seeing the traction, and the vision, the kind of path we want to take is quite clear in our head. So I think that is something that resonated in our application as well, and as well as the partners who interviewed us, and that is what led us into YC. It is not easy, but yeah, it wasn't our first attempt either. We had attempted a couple of times, and this was the time when all the things were in our favor as well, and that's how.
Yeah. The partner who I think backed the deal was really happy with the fact that there was such a robust tech tools in place. There were a lot of WhatsApp enabled momentum that you had leveraged, and of course, it was building something that people wanted. In the Y Combinator application, there are not too many, but some questions about competitive advantage or competitors, so to speak. Now, socks per se, do you think it's a highly competitive industry? How do you think of competitors? And my next question is going to be on price, but let's tackle the competitors first, or likely competitors.
See, we are not a sock brand as such. In a way, we are just not selling socks. We are selling experience. Right? When you buy Apple phone, you're just not there to buy the phone, you're buying the experience. And I think that is where we see, we are a brand that delights people. And socks is just our starting point. We aim to become the next Zara or the Uniqlo for men fashion. And that is where, and how innovative we were in actually getting consumers, getting the repeat buyers, and growing things organically. I think that is what was impressive. Socks is just a way to manifest that kind of creativity or those ideas, but it was more on how we were doing it, how we were implementing, how we were executing, how fast we were growing is what really led us into YC. I won't say it was socks.
Right.
It was, what we were
and
getting.
I think again, the partner who backed your deal also said the same thing, that I think you're building the Uniqlo of India. So there's a much broader application of this. I wonder if you get the question from women, why not us? So is there a plan to go into that segment?
Yes, women do come and ask us, why. Then I often, tell them that, see, I'm a woman. I'm also wearing SockSoho socks. So see, only 5% of the women in India, they wear socks on everyday basis, whereas
I see.
a lot more men wear socks on everyday basis in India. So that is, it's more of the market thing that we are focusing on men. And but as a woman, I wear socks every day. So a lot of women do buy from us, but we are majorly focusing on the men's segment as of now. So
Awesome.
yeah. So maybe in 6 months, we might think
Yeah.
of doing it, but as of now, we don't have plans there.
But as you say, it's a tech company, right? Like, so you're not a sock company. You're a tech company that happens to sell socks for men right now. I mean, you can go in any direction the market takes you once you have the community. So that's really important for listeners to keep in mind. How was your Y Combinator interview experience? Was it like a stress test or was it chill? How did you prepare for it? All of that.
Okay. So on your face, you look very chill, but I tell you, the 10 minutes are the most stressful 10 minutes of your life. So I think we prepared. We prepared a lot, Simar and I. It was stressful in a way. We knew only that we only had 10 minutes to actually showcase what we have built. So it was stressful in those terms. But other than that, I think we enjoyed the experience as well, because telling people what we are building and how we are doing it is something we enjoyed at that point. Luckily, so now it feels great. Okay, those 10 minutes were really great. But at that moment, if you'd ask us, we were like, oh God, did it just finish? Like, we were like, okay, 10 minutes so quickly. We didn't even know how did they, how did they just finish? And that's it, is what we thought.
Yeah. So you prepared hard. Those 10 minutes, you explained your passion. You had a product ready, growing very fast. So all of those things were actually working well in your favor. Was it something that they were skeptical about, that you were able to prove that they don't need to be too skeptical about in those 10 minutes?
So yes, how big it can get is, what they want to know. And I don't think so it was particular in our application. This is what they want to know for every application. So yeah, I think they were not skeptical, but they wanted to know, how big can it grow.
And how did you find out that you had gotten in? And how did you dance? How did you celebrate? What happens when one gets into YC?
So once, so I remember our interview happened on, I think Wednesday or Thursday, and they said they would let us know in a day. So we didn't receive any call on Friday or on Saturday. So we were like, okay, maybe we didn't get through. On Sunday morning, I remember my phone was on the dining table. I was just going from one room to the other, and I saw this call on Skype. And it was like percentage. So I just glanced at it, from far away, and I thought, oh, some spam call is coming. I went there, and I actually, when I saw the name Eric was our partner, and I saw his name, I'm like, okay, what is it? Then I picked up the phone, and then told me, and I'm like, he's like, do you want to accept it? Like, we have already accepted it, just we are really happy. And then I was just waiting, to put that phone down so that I could call Simon, my co-founder, and tell him, hey, we have made it. So I think, yes, that was a wonderful day. And that Sunday was quite an unexpected Sunday, and a very
a memorable 2020 Sunday, right? This is 2020.
A call that I thought was a spam call turned out to be a great call.
Yeah, awesome. So you accept YC, obviously incredible achievement. You should be very proud of it. But COVID overall, looking at it, this entire year has been a bit of a blur. But you've been resilient. The company has done well. You've raised funds from YC. What's been the journey once you have some more money in the bank? How are you growing? How are you thinking about growth? And we'll come to hiring separately, but tell us about how did that fund allocation change your thought process about growth?
So With COVID, I would say, yes, initially it was scary, but COVID, we have seen a huge growth during COVID because the consumer behavior changed during COVID. A lot more people came and shopped online, and they are now very used to shopping online. Then when it comes to, having funds in the bank, honestly, what changes is your confidence. You can now, a lot of constraints are removed from you when you have, funds in, maybe whether you use them at the moment or not, but then you can take risks, and which are really important in a startup. So I think those constraints are removed from you when you have some money in external funding with you. So that really helps in terms of growing. Yes, we are growing. And now we can take certain bets, which we were quite worried about earlier, because when we are building a D2C brand, even when you're profitable, a lot of the money goes back into building the inventory and everything. But now you can take some bets, you can take some risks, and this is what changes after getting funding.
Wonderful. So now comes to the exciting part. Network Capital is a huge community around the world, 100,000 people. Many of them are looking to work with interesting people doing interesting things. You and Simar are two people who are doing that. One, of course, is I think every Network Capital community member should get a SockSoho. And second is that all the people who are looking for jobs should apply for SockSoho. Tell us why that should happen, and tell us what are some roles that you're hiring for, and what is it that you're really looking for in people?
Okay. So what we are looking for people is the passion. First of all, we do not care about the degrees, and we say that, and we really stand by that. We see the passion in you and the skill in you. If you're applying for let's say a graphics designer position, we are looking for people who are achievers, right? Somebody who's an achiever and is pursuing graphic designing would always have an impressive portfolio. That person would not just sit and say, hey, maybe I'll do something when I'll get the job. That person would get up, take action, and build something he wants. So we want people who are creators, and be it any role. We want people who have done something in the past, have an impressive achievement, and have a nice portfolio. Then secondly, yes, a passion to work in a startup, because this is not a regular 9-to-5 job where you are assigned just one role and you have to work on that for years. In a startup, you take a lot of bets, your role keeps on changing. Every 3 months, you are taking up a new task, you are taking up new role. So a person must be flexible, must be skilled, must be very passionate to work in a startup. And, we do have an intense environment. So you must be used to, or must be willing to get used to, an intense environment. So these are the 3 things we really look for when we are hiring. And yes, we have a lot of roles open. So if you want to work with a YC company, apply for SockSoho. We have different roles open in business development, in graphic designing, photography, videography, social media managers, and content creators as well. So if you are the one and you want to work with a fast growing startup, come apply to SockSoho, and I'm sure we are going to give you a very, very different curve in your career path, a very fast growing path in your career to learn and to implement things.
What a pitch. I can totally see why YC funded you. So what we're going to do, Pritika, is we're going to put all the open jobs on our job board, and along with the story, encourage our people to apply and be part of this rocket ship, an abused metaphor, I think, in the startup world, but an accurate one. So I think people should definitely join, should they be interested. Just concluding thoughts, what are your 2021 goals? What are like something that you really want to accomplish in the coming year? And is there anything that you're afraid of at all in the coming year?
So what I want to accomplish in 2021, I want every household in India to must have at least one pair of SockSoho sock. So that is my aim for 2021. Being afraid, Honestly, I don't know what I should be afraid of, because in your entrepreneur journey, things you cannot predict things, and you don't know what challenges are you going to face. So I know there are going to be challenges, but I'm not afraid of any of them, because that's my task, right, as an entrepreneur, to figure out how to fix those challenges. So I'm not afraid of anything. We are building the future of fashion, and come join us and be a part of this rocket.
Well, Pritika, this has been inspiring. It'll go out to all our community members who I think will be learning a lot from your experience. Thanks so much for joining us. Merry Christmas and a very happy New Year. I'm confident that 2021 will be adventurous. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Utkarsh. Thank you for having me on your amazing podcast. I think the sort of community you have built is just so amazing. And I just love the passion you have, for network capital. Kudos to you.
Thank you, Pritika. Means a lot.